record to the cloud. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Monday Morning Motivation. It's a beautiful sunny day, and Shanghai is out of lockdown, at least not everybody yet, but there's hope, work in progress. And we're very excited to have Sophia here with us today, not as the host, but on the other side. And she prepared for us a topic called Archetypes. What myth are you living by? So we will figure this out. In case you are not WeChat friends with Sophia and me yet, or you want to join one of our many WeChat groups, just add us on WeChat and we will add you. We're also on LinkedIn. Monday Morning Motivation is just a community for people who want to start positively in a new day and week, have healthy, productive habits, and so on. We started a competition for our 3-year anniversary 2 weeks ago. And we asked you, how do you get motivated in the morning? We had beautiful videos from, I see some of you here, Janneke, Maybelline, and so on. And we're going to send the beautiful videos in the WeChat groups later today of our 4 winners who won beautiful books from our MMM ambassadors. Now, for the 2 months right now, we have the free recordings and you don't need a membership. If you want to go back to the recordings from the mornings, just check out this website. Yes, and for all the Shanghai friends who are looking for a furry pet, we have Cappuccino, who is an affectionate little baby or a 2-month-old boy, actually. So you can see he's super cute, affectionate, and he's looking for a forever home. So if you know somebody, scan the QR code, get in contact with Beata. If you love what we're doing at MMM, why not donate? And we give 50% to the 1 Million Tree Project and 50% covers our costs. Last but not least, this is our lineup for this month. We will talk about it later on. I would say with no further ado, Sophia, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Janine. Good morning, everyone. I think, Janine, you will need to give me the co-hosting rights.
Oops, my bad. I took it away from you. So selfish of me.
Now I don't have the power anymore.
I'm so sorry. You got dismissed because you're just a host today.
True.
Hey, Hans, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, everyone. Give me just 1 second. So, can you see my screen?
Not yet. Oh, Jill, good morning. Wow, everybody's joining by camera today. Beautiful. Happy faces, so early in the morning. I love it. Now I can see you, Sophia.
Okay, perfect. All right, so good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here early in the morning and to starting off your day with Monday Morning Motivation, which is always a great way to start your day, I'm sure. So let me start talking about today's topic. So I'm very excited to bring this topic to you, and the topic is called Archetypes. What myth are you living by? So for the ones of you that might not be very familiar with me and with my work, which I believe are not many, but just to introduce a little bit about myself, I'm a life coach, NLP practitioner. I'm currently getting certified in hypnosis as well. And one of my areas of expertise is archetypes. I also been studying GSR and family constellations. I do some marketing and social media work for Soulwell, so I'm part of Soulwell team. And of course, last but not least, I'm MMM's host and community manager. And I want to start off by asking you a question. Do you think the mind of a newborn is blank, completely blank, awaiting for input from the world to gain structure and meaning? or does it have a preformed structure that shapes and filters the way we perceive the world? What do you think?
I think the baby has an idea. Like, I don't think it's blank. I do think because there are kind of people can talk to babies and start recognizing voices and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I do think they have an idea.
All right, thank you, Yoni. Anyone else? What do you think? Complete blank. Okay, Hans says complete blank. All right, so you believe in the tabula rasa theory, right? That believes that we are born completely in blank, like a blank paper. Mm-hmm.
I think we're born blank, we're born pure as well.
Jill, could you repeat?
Yeah, I think we're born blank and pure with no, I think we have taken in things from the womb, but I think generally we're pretty blank and pure.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. And again, there are, throughout the times, there have been so many different theories about this topic, right? Different thinkers and philosophers came up with different theories about this. And one of my favorites, it's Carl Jung's theory, and he says, man possesses many things which he has never acquired, but he has inherited from his ancestors. He says he's not born as a tabula rasa. He's not born like a blank state, which was one of the theories developed a bit earlier on. And he says he's merely born unconscious. So it's not that we are born completely in blank, void of all characters, void of all data, but it's just that data that we have inside of us, it's unconscious. So we have a lot of unconscious content. And this is backed up with also science, and we have many researches and many studies that talk about this. We have GSR, we have family constellations, intergenerational trauma. So there is a lot of research about how trauma is passed on from generation to generation as well. And he goes on saying, we think that we are born today tabula rasa, right? Without a history. But man has always lived in the myth. To think that man is born without history within himself, that is a disease, right? So he say, for him, is like, it's impossible that we are born without data. But the thing is, even if we don't go back to previous generations and to how trauma and how data is passed on to us through genes, through our genetics, which we know happens. But when we are in our mother's womb, we are already actively receiving information from the world. So we are constantly receiving information. So that is something that has been proved as well for many researches. And we start to shape so there's already structure and there's already data, but as Carl Jung says, and I believe, but he might have a different opinion, and that's totally okay, we are already born with those inner structures. But what we do during our lifetime is turning those structures from unconscious to conscious, right? Is bringing them from the unconscious to the conscious. All right, and in order to understand this and to have a deeper understanding of what are archetypes and how they work in our lives, it is important to understand the psyche model of Carl Jung. And he says, so for him, the psyche is the mind as a whole. So it's the whole psychic universe of the individual, including both conscious and unconscious processes. Then he distinguishes between two types of unconscious. So he says there is the personal unconscious that was already developed by Freud back before, right? Because Freud was Freud was basically Jung's teacher, right? And he says the personal unconscious is this accumulation of experiences that were generated during a person's lifetime. So it's basically all type of information from what we have experienced in our lifetime that for some reason went to, we are not conscious of it. So it's any type of unconscious content that, for example, trauma, we often repress trauma. It's people that undergo very traumatic situations, there's a lot of what happened that they cannot recall. They cannot actively recall. They can recall it through hypnosis, for example, or other methods that dive deep into the subconscious mind. And we have also an important information, right? Because our mind is also very, very selective. It doesn't just store everything in the conscious mind. We need space, right? So we have this cloud where we back up our information, which is the unconscious mind, but we only go visit the unconscious mind when we need, right? And we actively look for a way to do it. But the difference in in Jung's model of the psyche is that it's not only about having a personal unconscious, we also have a collective unconscious. So as a whole, as a species, as a big society, we have universal memory that we share, and it's passed on to each one of us. It's a repository of innate tendencies and patterns from human ancestral environment. So from everything that the species has been through, that has been passed on from generation to generation. And I usually like to call it a cloud, right? So it's basically the subconscious, the collective subconscious is this big cloud where we store all in this case, all the collective experiences that we have been through as a whole, as humanity. So all human beings share this subconscious mind that stores the memories of all human beings, alive or dead, and we carry those memories within ourselves. And again, if you are interested in this topic, I highly recommend you to do some research on family constellations, GSR, intergenerational trauma. Those are very, very good topics. This book is really good. It didn't start with you, and it talks precisely about the power of our ancestors and our previous generations in our lives, because we are actually just, in a lot of senses, we are just repeating a lot of patterns. One of our speakers here at Monday Morning Motivation, we had him talking about GSR. Alexei came to talk about GSR, right? I think Janine is also quite familiar with his work. And he basically, the GSR believes that we have a lot of energies, they call it energies, right? That are passed on from generation to generation. And that's why there are so many patterns repeating themselves within a family system. And the same for family constellations and intergenerational trauma. There are many studies about this. For example, during the Holocaust, there was a lot of trauma passed on from generation to generation in the genes, right, genetically. So, but what is an archetype? If we look into the word, it comes from the Greek arche, which means original, primary, primordial, and typos, which means form or model. So it means an original model. And if we check in the dictionary, it says the most typical or perfect example of a particular kind of person or thing, the original model of something from which others are copied. So based on this definition of archetype as the perfect example of something, how would you build a sentence? How would you build a sentence with the word archetype? Could you type in the chat box or mute yourself? You can think about a sentence on how would you use the word archetype. I can give one example. She is the archetype of an American star, right? So she's this perfect example of an American star. You could also say he is the archetype of a Bollywood actor, right? And in your mind, your mind will bring to you a perfect example of a Bollywood star, or just how your subconscious mind has this idea of what a Bollywood star or a Bollywood actor means. Okay, if you have any sentences, you can share in the chat. So archetypes are basically what exists underneath the modern surface of the mind, because nowadays we tend to think about science, about being rational, and I think there's a big conflict between science and faith, or science and myth. Myth is often seen as something false or as lies, but it actually doesn't necessarily need to be like that, and they are not necessarily in conflict, right, if we don't see it like that. And underneath the modern surface of the mind, there are the original primitive mentality of our ancestors in the form of stories and symbols with natural appeal to us. So it means that these stories and these images, these symbols, they are stored in our subconscious mind, and we react instinctively to them, even though we might not be consciously aware of them. Okay, so we have a natural response to these archetypes, whether it's colors, whether it's shapes, personality traits, whatever, because archetypes can be pretty much everything, but we have a specific response. And what Carl Jung observed is that similar patterns, he observed similar patterns in images, characters, events, recurring in myths, religions, cultural beliefs, and they occurred in communities and societies that were unlikely to have been in contact with each other. But the thing is, even though they were not in contact with each other, they share central stories and central themes, right? They repeat themselves across geographical locations and time. And this is very similar to Plato's theory of ideas or forms, when he says an animal is a cat because it has this common and essential character of a cat. So a cat is not only one type of animal. You have many different cats, right? But cat is the word that you use to refer to a spectrum of animals, because they share a pattern, they share similarities. So cat is an idea, is a concept. It's not about time or space. It's something eternal in our subconscious mind. And unique particular cats with nuances are actually copies of that cat, that primordial idea of what a cat is. Okay. So archetypes are used to assign structure and meaning to the world. They are basically what organizes our experience. It's the way we have is the way our mind also organizes the world into different parts, right? Because we cannot just, our mind cannot really process all the nuances, right? So we also need to, it's a mechanism from our mind as well to divide things into categories. And its original patterns or models inborn a priori knowledge. So it's something that we are born with. There are basic structures of our mind because they were passed on. They were developed throughout ages from our ancestors, but they are something that we are already born with. And they are constantly evolving as well. They are not completely stopped in time. They are universal patterns of human nature, and they exist across geographical locations and time, and they influence our behavior because, again, we react to them even though we might not be completely consciously aware of them. Now I want to ask you, when you see this butterfly, what types of keywords or meanings do you associate with the butterfly? You can type or unmute yourself. What is the
Freedom!
freedom? True, especially in Shanghai now. That's a keyword. Elegant, says Janine. Delicate freedom.
Bear with me, but drunk.
Drunk? Wow. Interesting. Interesting.
You want me to explain?
Ren is saying beautiful. Jill said free, calm. Nice. Nice words. Any other word about butterfly?
Growth.
Growth. Okay. Nature, growth, life cycle. Very good. And if you think about the story of the butterfly, what is the story of the butterfly? Like, what happens to the butterfly? Is it born this way, pretty, with pretty wings and all fancy? Change, right? Yolanda said change. Very good, change. So change is one of the key words of butterflies, right? And you also said growth, beautiful, right? And the butterflies undergo a process called metamorphosis, where they go from this caterpillar that people usually don't like very much to a beautiful butterfly, right? But it undergoes a dark process, right? A period of time where it is changing, right? What is going through this changing process, this big transformation. So butterfly is all about transformation, transmutation, rebirth, hope, life. And what about mother? When you think about mother, what concepts do you associate with mother?
Caring, loving.
Caring, loving. Thank you, Yanika. Anything else? Nurture. Very good, Yolanda. Nurture. Okay. Okay, warm. Okay, warm. Very nice. So the archetype of mother is giving as well, right? Someone is saying giving. Very good. The archetype of mother has been described and used in different geographical locations and in different times, always with this reference, right, of mother as a nurturing, selfless carer who protects and provides for the offspring at any cost. Yanika said is saying sacrifice. Perfect, because it's this idea of giving selfless love, right? Selfless care that can sacrifices herself at any cost. And in mythology, the mother archetype is linked with the concepts of great mother and mother nature. That's why in tarot cards, you also see in tarot cards and even in marketing, for example, you see that the people usually refer to mother as to nature as mother nature, right? And you see so many symbols of abundance. So mother is also a symbol of abundance, of providing for the offspring. So it has even the shapes, the water that always represents abundance in tarot. We also have the harvest. So this is an archetype of and of course archetypes are the foundation of tarot cards, for example. So when you understand archetypes, it's much easier to understand also how tarot cards are used in psychology and for other purposes. Okay. So this is mother, right? And we also have chair. What is a chair for you? I'm sure most of you are sitting on a chair. Some of you still in bed, probably. Stability, says Janine. Sturdy, support. Thank you. Okay. What else? Position. Tool. Okay. Responsibility. Art. Okay. So now I want you to think about this. Imagine that you go to your friend's apartment and there are no chairs at all. Like they invite you for dinner and there is like nothing similar to a chair or, you know, something from that spectrum of things. So how will you feel? There is only a table in the middle, like and how does that make you feel? All right. So, so chairs are connected. Awkward, says Johan. Right. So, down to earth. We'll sit on the floor. True. Curious. Okay. Right. We have some modern approaches, right, to deal with that, especially in Shanghai. I think we get very creative, right, because apartments not always have the perfect living conditions. Okay. And a chair is very much connected with the idea of resting and also welcoming, right? So if you have a chair, it somehow implies that someone can sit there, right? So it's a way also of welcoming people and waiting for someone, because if you think about a theater and you have lots of chairs, and what do you feel if you see so many chairs? You kind of have that expectation that something is about to happen, right? Because you have so many chairs together. So when you have an archetype that there's a repetition of the same archetype, you have just that same power of one archetype, but expanded, right? Much more powerful. And if you go to a theater and all chairs are empty, you will feel very strange, right? Because why is everything so empty, right? Okay. So archetypes and archetypal stories are omnipresent. They exist in mythology, in what people call personality tribes, which of course, it's not about putting people into boxes, but really having a better understanding of people in a spectrum. They exist in literature, cinema, branding, marketing, colors, shapes, nature, everywhere in our world. And we have some very basic archetypes. I'm going to go through these very quickly because I know we are a bit over time. So we have the hero, which is this idea of great achievements, risk, bravery, discipline, boldness, determination, and which greatest fear is being a chicken or being vulnerable, weak. And his motto is, you only fail if you stop trying, or where there's a will, there's a way. And I was saying this in the previous talk, but hero is very much the archetype of high performers, right? So high performing coaches are usually also use a lot of this archetype in their marketing work. And you see, for example, brands like Nike, they use a lot this archetype. For example, do things history could only dream of, like do bold things, do great things, and rise, run, rest, and repeat. So it is this idea of boldness and action, very action-oriented. Then we have the sage, for example. The sage is all about wisdom, knowledge, truth, advice, guidance. And his greatest fear is being seen as ignorant or being wrong, feeling confused. And he's the teacher, the scholar, the mentor. And his goal is to understand the world and teach others what he knows. Of course, he can also be caught on being too traditional, or be a little bit too much traditional and stuck in that. And we have some examples like TED Talks or Harvard University, right? Universities in general, especially the traditional universities, the older universities, they usually have this archetype of the sage. And now I want to ask you, in cinema, what heroes and what sages do you know about? Like, what are some archetypes of the sage and the hero in cinema or in literature? Do you know any?
I guess there's a combination. Well, if you look at cinema and movies and stuff like that, if you look at the hero and both a sage, you can go for Doctor Strange or for Tony Stark, because they're both kind of the heroes, but they also kind of pride themselves on their intellect.
Right. So we have some examples like Harry Potter and Dumbledore, right? Or we have Frodo and Gandalf. So it's this idea in movies and in literature, this combination is used a lot, because there is the hero that is going through a lot of challenges to pursue greater deeds and greater courageous acts. And then we have basically the sage that guides him and usually provides the best quotes for the hero, right? I won't go through a lot more because we don't have time, but we have stories like Romeo and Juliet, that are the archetype of this difficult love, right? Star-crossed lovers with controlling parents that are meant to be together, but they have a tragic end, right? They end up not being able to be together because of fate, of circumstances. And last, I want to ask you, why do you think 50 Shades of Grey was such a a bestseller and such a success, from some perspectives at least? Why do you think this is an archetypal story? What is that about the characters and about the story that makes it archetypal? You can chat in the box, so let me know in a few seconds, and we have some more pictures about that. Okay. All right. So I just want to finish off by saying I have an upcoming course about archetypes. It's going to be an in-depth course starting off from tomorrow. So we start tomorrow, and there are only 3 seats left. So we can accept 3 more people. So if you are interested, you can scan the QR code and register. I will be so happy to have you in my class. And it's going to be really transformative. We're going to dive deep into how to activate archetypes. What is your natural archetype, and so on. And thank you so much. I won't go further because I know time is limited. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Sophia. Guys, it's your turn now. You can unmute yourself. You can ask questions to Sophia. We can still discuss about more. Don't be shy, unmute yourself or use the chat.
Sophia, I have a question. It's something I listened to Atomic Habits. In Atomic Habits, they refer to false memory syndrome. There was a period in time where this was kind of a thing. I guess when psychology just started coming, I'm not sure. It's just something I heard, and now I'm just a little bit curious about it. Like, how does that fit into this?
False memory syndrome. I haven't read the book yet.
Okay.
I would like to understand a little bit more of how do they describe this false memory syndrome.
So it is kind of when I go hypnosis, and because I think at that point in time they were kind of accusing the men of doing horrible things to women, and then women started to stand up against it. So it seems like through psychology they implanted bad memories. So the specific incident was a woman thought that her husband was like being mean to her, and which was at the end not the case. So through psychology, she created memories, false memories, to justify her case.
Yeah, well, we have our in relationships, we have dynamics, right? And we recreate the dynamics that we already have in our subconscious mind, whether it's from this life or from our ancestors. The thing is, in this lifetime, we are constantly recreating patterns that are in our subconscious mind. If you have a journal, Alicia has an awesome course for journaling, and it's like you, if you journal what you do and the way you think, it's always loops and loops and loops and patterns and cycles. Everything is pretty much predictable because it repeats itself. Your life is not fresh events every day. It actually is a lot of cycles and repetition. So if you journal, you will notice that more, just like your dreams. And Carl Jung also talks about that. Your dreams are also, you know, full of repetition, and they have the same archetypes showing up on and on and on. So the more you understand your subconscious mind, right, the more you bring what is unconscious, those unconscious contents, to the conscious mind, the more you can work on them, right? And the more power you have over these relationship dynamics, whether it's in work, in your professional career, or in your romantic life, in your family, all of that. Okay. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes. So, but this is not the same as, like I said, like you bring past memories. This is not the same as reincarnation. This is, like you say, it's called. Like I have very little information and knowledge about this, so it's just out of curiosity.
No, it's, you know, I think in this world, we tend to think that whatever we cannot understand rationally, we just think that it's a lie, or it's false, or it's mystic, or it's magic, right? But it's simply something that our mind cannot completely understand yet, right? That's what I believe in. And I think, you know, everything about the unconscious mind, it's a world to explore. There is so much work to be done on this, because we receive a lot of insights as well from our subconscious mind. And Carl Jung used to say, like, it's not only about archetypes, it's also about, we receive a lot of insights, a lot of new ideas. When we are in the flow state, right, we access to our subconscious mind and we get a lot of new information. So our subconscious mind is a cloud of information. And there are some ideas also, in some research on, is our mind really inside of our head, or is our mind actually something external, right? So this is something that we can think about. I think Alicia replied to that. False memories are often ego defenses and cognitive biases that are internalized into the unconscious. Thank you, Alicia. All right, any other questions?
You can also unmute yourself if you like. In the meanwhile, I'm already sharing our lineup for this month. Hi, Zimba. Do you want to be the host now? Okay. So you can think of your last question if you like. This is our lineup for this month. Next Monday, we have amazing Gülşah here, a German-Turkish lady. Awakening your heart's intelligence is her topic. And then on Wednesday, we have French lady Alice with amazing Chinese skills. Maybe Sophia, you want to add something here?
Yeah, she will be talking about how you can learn about a country's language and culture through music. And she is quite popular in Chinese social media. She has a very good Chinese, so stay tuned and join us on Wednesday.
Yes, and also as mentioned, as mentioned earlier, if you're looking for a furry friend, we have this 2-month-old boy, Cappuccino. He's very affectionate and looking for a new home in Shanghai. We will have more of our webinars posted here if you missed it, or if you still want to watch it again. And our MMM competition, stay tuned, guys. Some of you have handed in their videos. We have 4 winners. And how do you get motivated in the mornings? We have 4 people whose videos we will share in the WeChat groups later. And they are also our winners. So you can definitely get inspired by them. And yes, my cat is very active now, as we can see here. Yes. Do we have any other questions for Sophia for today?
I was just thinking, you can choose if you want to have a cappuccino every morning with you.
Ooh, that sounds pretty awesome, I would say.
In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Cappuccino.
All right, then Zimba and we wish you all a beautiful day. Happy Monday. Have an awesome week. And see you on Wednesday or next Monday. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, everyone.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks so much for joining. Bye.
Great presentation.
Bye, Yannicka, Alicia, Jill, Yola, Stephen, Jan, Maybelline, Arvin, Mary, Jeff, Caroline, and so on.